Welcome to another episode of Casting Starcraft 2 with Daylac. Today bringing you a TvZ game on Newkirk Precinct, and without further ado jumping into the action. This is actually a Masters level game between the Terran player in red here on the lower right hand side, VGSK's DarthCaesar, versus his opponent in blue, Vivid, playing as the Zerg. Quick GLHF there going out from both players. Once again, playing on Newkirk Precinct, I actually very much enjoy this map, especially for this matchup. There's plenty of opportunities here for Terran to have plenty of aerial drop routes along the side here, but Zerg obviously being able to scout that fairly easily with good overlord placement, and this central cutoff point across the map here is also very useful for tank placement, siege lines, and Terran can certainly get a nice rolling siege line going. But there are certainly a number of opportunities for Zerg to easily get ahead in terms of economy, with not only having an easily accessible natural that's quite well defended, but the third and fourth locations being fairly close as well, and being able to set up nice chokes along these lines here. And good spread, creep spread on this map, almost essential for Zerg, especially to keep vision of what's going on in that central area. And certainly trying to hold the two Zelnaga watchtowers both here and here to prevent any quick marine or tank movements, though a lot of Terran play on this map is usually done via those aerial drops. So it'll be interesting to see how Vivid is going to respond to DarthCaesar here, or even in fact what DarthCaesar will actually go for. A lot of Terrans now actually in Heart of the Swarm electing to go for very much a kind of biomine style of gameplay, Marine Marauder Medivac with mines as well. But I've seen a lot of Zergs responding to this with Ultralisks and Infestors being able to obviously lock down those bio units in place and let the Ultralisks go to work on them in very short order. And we are actually seeing the spawning pool now on the way for Vivid here, going for the expansion first, hatch before pool. A very common Zerg opening here for macro-based economy. Usually indicative that they definitely want to go into the late game. In fact, it looks like here Vivid using the new Overlord skin here. Not too much of a fan of these ones, in all fairness. I think they look rather bizarre for Overlords. And actually, DarthCaesar here using the new supply depot skin, the Mercenary Supply Depot. So it wouldn't surprise me to see if he's got the Mercenary Marines as well, which I must admit do look fairly cool, and certainly fun to see them running around across the map. I was actually very excited when they announced the skins in Heart of the Swarm. I was very much looking forward to getting my hands on those Mercenary Marines, being primarily a Terran player. And we are actually seeing a fast reactor here for DarthCaesar, so definitely looking perhaps to go for the more marine-centric style of play, though is going for a Reaper first opening, which has the potential here to do a lot of damage to early Zerg economy. He's going to see that, obviously, that expansion there. And coming up here now, Vivid here not actually having any Lings out yet to deal with this, so this Reaper opening has the potential to do a lot of damage, but the Lings are now back in the main there and are going to be able to force that Reaper out slightly. DarthCaesar with some good micro here could be certainly more than capable of killing all of those Zerglings right there, and may actually force Vivid to get some additional ones, so in fact now using his Queen to help stave off the attack of that Reaper. Reapers, of course, having the new combat drugs ability makes it very easy for them to be used over and over again for harassment, as they regenerate life very quickly outside of combat. And a couple of early Reapers here could be used with great effect actually by DarthCaesar to keep very solid map control and get constant harass going. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me to see a few more potentially coming out, but no, he is actually moving over onto the factory here and getting two mines actually very quickly along with the starport. So we're seeing a 1-1-1 opening here actually from DarthCaesar, something that has actually gained a resurgence of popularity in Heart of the Swarm, with the potential for those early Widow mines and the potential for mine drops, which has actually become quite a strong opening, because obviously if you can boost a Medivac into your opponent's mineral line, then you have the option to cause quite a lot of damage very quickly to your opponent, which makes for some very fun disruption play against certainly against Zerg, who rely more on obviously having the stronger macro-based gameplay. Though we are actually also seeing Metabolic Boost coming out here, so Ling Speed on the way now for Vivid here. and may try and hit off a little link timing attack, though the Reaper positioning here is going to certainly be more than aware of that. DarthCaesar needs to be a little bit careful not to lose this now, as he's not actually fully paying attention, and that is actually going to get away just on 3 HP, but will very quickly get itself back up to full using those brand new combat drugs for the Reapers there. And we're actually seeing a Spire here for Vivid. I actually kind of like this choice, depending on where he's going to go. I mean, it could be used potentially for the Mutalisk Harass, but I think, especially if DarthCaesar is looking to go into more of a bio style of gameplay, the later transition into Broodlords may not be as effective as if it was Siege Tank play, for instance. And we're actually seeing 2 additional barracks coming out, confirming that it does look like DarthCaesar is wanting to do that biomine, actually trying to get a nice tight wall in here with multiple supply depots. The Overseer there dropping a quick changeling inside of DarthCaesar's base, perhaps going to use that to get some scouting information off, maybe even catch this command center here, which would be good to know, as DarthCaesar is actually preparing to expand out to a 3rd. Or will be at least when that's finished, and that scout is actually going to get quite a lot of information here. But in the meantime, we are actually seeing that biomine drop here. 3 mines, 4 mines actually inside that medevac, so that's actually quite a big drop. Managing to kill off at least a few drones there, only 2 gone though. Which is a bit of a shame. That could have been a little bit more effective. Especially with the plant there. However, the Overseer being right there, of course, is going to shut that down. Vivid electing actually to get that Overseer very early. Perhaps he's faced off against a more biomine style of play and is aware of the amount of damage that it could potentially do here. In which case, that's a very smart call. And we're actually now seeing the Mutalisk count here rising for Vivid on 7 Mutalisks now. Probably going to be looking at getting some nice early harass off here with those and try and shut down. And in the back of this, he is actually getting himself a Roach Warren, so we might even see a transition here into Roach Hydra. In which case, DarthCaesar is going to need to pile on some extra Marauders certainly to deal with this. At the moment, still focusing mostly on those Marines. Now, Marines still can be very strong against Roach Hydra, provided that they've got the decent upgrades and they've got the support that they need in the form of medevacs. But unfortunately for DarthCaesar, not enough medevacs out at the moment, and these turrets are not going to be finished in time to stop these Mutalisks here. And it looks like he may actually have to pull those SCVs, struggling to get that one up there. And it does actually finish. It's going to do a little bit of damage to those Mutalisks, but they got a little bit of harass off there, managed to slow down some time, and did manage to pick off 4 workers. Not quite paying for themselves at this point. They're very expensive. But hopefully you'll at least be able to return with some extra scouting information, actually seeing that 3rd base go down, being able to do a little bit of damage there to that. But these Mutalisks have essentially been caught now by DarthCaesar. He knows what the game plan is here, and should expect to see Vivid moving away from them fairly soon. Though he is actually in the process of getting another 5 Mutalisks. I don't think that's actually a good choice here, especially what with the turrets going up inside the base now, and the sheer number of Marines that DarthCaesar actually has available to him at this point in time is going to prevent any kind of Mutalisk shenanigans unless he puts them off to one side and brings them around when DarthCaesar is busy focusing elsewhere. Upgrades now coming out for both races, both of them currently getting their ground weapons 1, though the Terran ground and armor is probably going to finish slightly ahead of the Zerg here. We might even see a Terran attack timing here based on hitting that 1-1 simultaneously. The armory coming down as well, just finishing up in a second, so maybe even transitioning into some Hellbat play. Hellbat's actually very strong in Heart of the Swarm here. They're capable of dealing a lot of damage, even against more armoured units like Roaches, being able to deal with them in short order. Now, is this drop going to have been scouted? Yes, Vivid will have just seen that drop, those dropships going out, so he will actually be aware of that drop on the way there. And sending out these Mutalisks now to intercept them. This actually could be a huge loss here for DarthCaesar. That's 2 dropships full of units, and those Mutalisks are parked right in their path. And yeah, there we go. That's 1 dropship down. 2 dropships full of units gone in the blink of an eye. Nice catch there by Vivid, very quick reaction timing on moving those Mutalisks out based on that nice little Zergling scout. Actually a very useful scout, that one, being able to catch the alternate drop pathing here. And actually leaving the Mutalisk over the fourth base here for Terran, maybe looking to see if he can catch that extra expand when it goes out, or even looking at getting in some harass here on the natural, though the turrets here may be able to help prevent that depending on whether or not he's quick at pulling his SCVs, and trying to get some harass off on those supply depots. Going to actually cause that one there to actually lose itself, and DarthCaesar actually pulling back these Marines here to try and reposition them slightly just in case of another Mutalisk push. But in the interim time we are actually seeing a decent number of Lings here for Vivid, potentially preparing to move out across the map along with these Mutalisks, so we may see some Mutal Ling play here. Pulling off the Marines to one side with the Mutalisks, forcing them to respond, and then sweeping in with the Zerglings. DarthCaesar actually putting a lot of minerals here into those turret defences. Not too certain that's the wisest of ideas, especially as Vivid now is moving away from that Mutalisk play. So the number of Mutalisks he's got now is pretty much going to be it for the remainder of this game, I'd imagine, unless he goes for a very sudden tech switch. So that's only 12 Mutalisks here, but that's actually a big investment right now for DarthCaesar into static defences, which I don't feel is perhaps the best response to this. Perhaps getting some Vikings would have been a better idea, but these Mutalisks now looking actually to snipe those reactors and tech labs on the buildings, do some damage to that production facility, and then once again pulling back out. Mutalisk harass can actually be quite devastating for Terran production, as the mobility of Mutalisks means that they're able to very quickly get around the map. But we are actually seeing a big push out here now for DarthCaesar, preparing to perhaps go directly into the Zerg front door with this very large force of Marines here. Only a couple of Marauders though, I'm counting one so far. So this could run into some problems if there's a large number of Roaches around, but he has got those +2 weapons on the way. Slightly behind Zerg's +2 attack, so fairly even at the moment in terms of upgrades. Terran on currently going to be on 2-1 in just a matter of time, and Zerg on 2-0 at the moment for that armor. But those Baneling connects, devastating those Marine forces there. DarthCaesar splitting his forces as best as he can to try and deal with that, and then the Mutalisks coming in as well, just piling on that pressure there. An absolutely huge army for DarthCaesar, pulled apart in literally a fraction of a second. He is, however, still ahead though of Vivid in terms of supply, so his forces are rebuilding at quite a steady rate, but it looks like Vivid now looking to get the counter-attack on here, going in with that nice force of Lings and those few Roaches. But DarthCaesar definitely needs to get a few more Marauders into this mix, especially against that Roach composition, as he doesn't have nearly enough Marines at this point to even begin to deal with them. But we are actually seeing a transition now into Thor, this factory here, actually starting to pump out Thors. I'm not sure that that's so much the smartest move, especially now that the Mutalisks have been removed from play. Siege tanks perhaps would have been a slightly better idea, and managing to catch this drop, the potential denial here of a fourth base, slightly odd position here for Vivid, but maybe hoping that that wouldn't actually be picked up at the usual fourth location, which would be here. Though it does appear that that was actually sniped at some point by DarthCaesar. More Mutalisks though coming out for Vivid. Interesting choice. Also getting the flyer attack upgrades as well. Very unusual choice, especially against the more marine heavy composition of his opponent, as that's a lot of units that are able to shoot up, and well upgraded Marines can absolutely devastate and wreck Mutalisks here. So I'm not certain this is the wisest choice, though it does look like he's going to be able to use them to try and shut down some of this drop play here. But I think I would have preferred to see Corruptors for those purposes rather than the Mutalisks, because without the extended harassment play of Mutalisks, they're basically become, certainly in this kind of composition, so much wasted supply, gas and minerals. Though cleaning up those drops very nicely there by Vivid. But I would have liked to have definitely seen some Corruptors on Vivid's side of the field for shutting down those drop play, especially for the later switch back into Broodlords as well. And this fourth base actually being shut down here by DarthCaesar with a quick sortie by Marines. And we are actually seeing a pretty large force here for Vivid moving out across the map, morphing some extra Banelings here to deal with that mostly biocomposition of DarthCaesar here. Thor out on the field now, and a decent number of mines. That could actually prove to be quite powerful against that Baneling force there. If he can kill the majority of those Banelings in one go with those mines, this could be fairly huge. Oh, those explosions absolutely wrecking that front line of Zerglings there. But not enough mines here. It looks like the rest of these are going to be taken out. Do manage to take a couple of Banelings with them though, as those sacrificial Banelings take out those Widow mines quite nicely. And DarthCaesar looking like he wants to expand behind this, adding on the extra 2 gas there, and starting to move over some SCVs away from his almost mined out main here. DarthCaesar actually now on 200 over 200 with a fairly strong force here. Probably going to be looking to make a tech sortie out soon, as probably once those Terran Infantry Weapons 3 finishes up, moving those mines into position, hoping to catch some more of that Zerg force there. Definitely an interesting position now for Vivid, as he's going to have to be very careful with how this is handled, especially if those mines are able to borrow in time to get the huge amount of splash off that he needs to, and they do, picking off the majority of those Mutalisks. Banelings are all down now. It's only Roaches left for Vivid. This is actually a pretty big turnaround here. Vivid down to only 127 supply. DarthCaesar still on 200 over 200 here. Could probably move in for the kill right now, especially with that limited number of units here. Vivid desperately trying to remax back up to 200. Morphing in so many Banelings to try and deal with this ground composition. DarthCaesar just moving across now, clearing creep as he goes. He needs to be careful with that Bioforce though, as if those Banelings make a decent connection here, it will once again be a huge turnaround, and they do. They come around the side in an absolutely beautiful flank. Huge amount of Marines gone there, almost 40 supply worth of units killed in literally half a second flat. There's more huge connects here. Vivid doing such a good job of pushing this force back. DarthCaesar actually electing to pick up those Thors to try and move them back out of harm's way, and actually looking like he wants to go and drop them inside of Zerg's main, which is a very interesting choice, certainly a very aggressive choice here. Especially as they have the potential to do a absolute lot of damage, especially against that natural mineral line right there, that mineral line right there from the ground. Though he needs to be careful of those Roaches, picking up again and moving back out. DarthCaesar is starting to remax, still ahead of Vivid in terms of supply. Very impressive gameplay here from this Terran player, adding on so many extra production structures, remaxing out on those Marines and mines so quickly. Though I still feel that he's not adding nearly enough Marauders into this mix, especially given the number of Banelings and Roaches he's seen. Marauders actually being far more durable than Marines, obviously being able to take 2 or 3 Baneling hits with no problem. It's often not uncommon to see them being used as a screen for the slightly weaker Marines, who tend to fall apart quite quickly under large numbers of Banelings. But the Thor count now rising for DarthCaesar here, up to 3 Thors already. And the potential for more to be coming out here, adding on the extra Marines again, more Marauders, and getting on those very important Terran Ground Weapons 3 upgrades that are going to be so useful for those Thors. Looking though like he wants to make a quick sortie here with Widow Mines, but not paying attention to them. He is actually going to lose all of those there in very short order, not making the most of them at all. But pushing forward now here, DarthCaesar with this fairly nice sort of biomech composition here, those 3 Thors in the back, going to be able to do so much damage to those Roaches with the small number of Marauders and Marines at the front here. And if you can shut down this base, this would be a pretty big victory here for DarthCaesar, as it's one of Zerg's few mining bases. And in fact, Vivid actually looking to pull those drones there to try and deal as much damage as possible. But once again, Vivid managing to do so much damage to this biomech composition, killing off all of the Thors in very short order with some very nice Baneling placements here. Simply so many Roaches as well, being able to very quickly shred that armor and pull back. This is actually proving to be quite an interesting back and forth game here, both players remaxing and taking those engagements in very short and quick order. Though definitely I'd have to say that Vivid looking like he's a little bit more on the back foot at this point. DarthCaesar still managing to stay so far ahead of him in terms of supply, even after every single engagement, even losing so many units, and remaxing so quickly, and just whittling down that Zerg economy, especially now as he's expanding out to a 5th up here already. And interesting, we are actually seeing nukes coming down now. That's actually a very fascinating choice here. So getting some ghosts out here for DarthCaesar, going into that nuclear missile play, could be make for some interesting explosions at some of those Zerg bases. I mean, sneaking in a ghost up here where no overseer and taking out that base in literally 1 or 2 nukes could be absolutely devastating there for Vivid, especially if his base is, especially if he loses all of these drones. Having to re-drone at this stage of the game could be very, very costly. And seeing another engagement getting ready to move forward here, but again, so many banelings here for Vivid that this Bioforce is going to be absolutely wrecked by that number of Zerglings and banelings. All of those units being torn apart in extremely short order. And DarthCaesar actually now dropping below Vivid in terms of supply, but actually managing to get a secondary drop-off up here. If you can take that hatchery now, that would be absolutely brilliant. Those Marauders gonna die there, definitely, but their sacrifice worth that cause there, being able to take out that hatchery. And getting a nice denial on some mining time. Though Vivid in the background of this already getting a new hatchery here at the 5th base location. Both players staying fairly equal in terms of economy, though I'd have to say that DarthCaesar again, slight edge here, being on more bases for certainly for longer, managing to keep shutting down those Zerg bases. And with a nice Widow Mine placement right here, it's going to prevent any quick Zerg attacks back with that Ling Roach force. Though these Mutalisks here looking like they want to go and cause some trouble up over here on the north-hand side of the map. If he can get some of those SCVs, this could be a good return and good comeback there for him. Being able to do some damage back to his opponent's economy. Though there are a lot of SCVs there right now. Definitely massively oversaturated. The Marauders coming in now though to clean up those roaches. Needs to finish that missile turret though. I don't know if he's actually caught that at this point, but turning that command center into a PF I think is a smart choice, especially against the potential for the Zerg attacks here. Although I'm just amused that this missile turret's still not finished, just coming up now. But that is actually a big Zerg push up here, looking to try and do some damage to that base, but the Marauders being able to defend that quite effectively, though no Marines here at the moment to deal with those Mutalisks. DarthCaesar definitely needs to pull up some Marines fairly quickly in order to be able to stave off some of this attack, though those roaches for Vivid are going to be absolutely torn apart by that PF in short order. But he is going up into the 4th base location and has seen the nuke go, and we are actually seeing it. It is going to come down on the 3rd base here. I don't even think that Vivid is aware of where this nuke is going. All he knows is it's gone off, and here it comes. This could be a huge explosion here. He's not pulled anything at all. That queen and all those workers dead. Absolutely massive damage to the economy, and already a 2nd nuke going off again. Meanwhile, this fight over here at the 5th DarthCaesar ongoing. Nukes everywhere. This is absolutely fantastic. DarthCaesar doing so much damage here. Nuclear missile going to go off on this side as well, taking out another Zerg mining base. Another huge loss of drones coming up. Oh, that damage. Those bases absolutely being wrecked here by these ghosts. All he needs now is one more nuke at this base here, and this is going to set Vivid so far behind. He's going to have to re-drone so much right now. Though, well, he does still have a fairly decent bank of 600 here. The sheer loss of all of those minerals, all that mining time, only on one mining base, is going to have set his economy back so far. Only 440 minerals per minute in comparison to Terran's almost 2,000 minerals per minute. So far behind now in terms of that income. That is absolutely huge here for DarthCaesar, being able to set Zerg back that far. In fact, you see there now all the extra drones being pulled back up on this base here, more drones being added on, and it looks like Vivid is going to have to do something soon, otherwise he's going to risk losing out on so much more economy and so much more mining time. This ghost here actually looking to cause some more trouble, maybe even get off another nuclear missile on this base. Meanwhile, Squadron of Mutalisks here for Vivid, moving across the map again, looking like he's going to want to go off some more harass, but again we see another nuclear missile coming down. Again, all of these drones about to die. This is painful to watch here, simply for the sake of Vivid. He does manage to get the pull though at the last minute there, does recognise where it's coming down, and gets those drones to safety just in time. Meanwhile, Terran Bioforce is engaging on the ground here, losing a nice chunk of units there to the sheer number of banelings, but being able to do some damage in his own right, cleaning up some roaches, cleaning up some lings. All he needs to worry about now are the remainder of these Mutalisks, and another nuclear strike incoming on this 6th base here for Vivid. Unless he can pick off that ghost, which he does manage to do, cancelling that nuclear missile. Very nicely timed there. Almost devastating there. However, that perfect timing on pulling that Overseer over was able to stop that in short order. But in the back of this, we are actually seeing a drop going off here for Terran, going to get into that main of Vivid here. And if you can snipe the tech structures now, while the majority of Vivid's Mutalisks are occupied elsewhere, this will be a big victory for DarthCaesar, as it'll force Vivid to have to retech on basically everything. And if you can pick off those Mutalisks as well, it looks like he is actually going to go for the hatcheries, try and snipe some extra overlords, and in the meantime pulling out his bioforces across the map. And again, another nuclear strike going off, though once again the ghost being picked off in short order. No cloak there available to help protect that. But meanwhile, the Terran Marines are going for his bases. This is all over the place for DarthCaesar. He's hitting Vivid here from so many angles at the same time. It's just absolutely brilliant play here. And there goes the GG from Vivid. Absolutely well played. Perfect gameplay there from DarthCaesar. Very impressive. The multiple flanking attacks there were just phenomenal, keeping Vivid on the backseat all the time. The base denials, simply amazing. Well played to both these players. Vivid certainly for holding on for as long as possible and inflicting all those losses to the Terran opponent, forcing him to remax, and definitely to DarthCaesar, who was able to show Zerg players over the world just exactly what Terran is capable of doing to them, with some brilliant drop play, some good flanks, and a very interesting unit composition. And hopefully I'll actually see now a resurgence of nuclear missiles used in that matchup, because that was just so much fun to see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this cast. If you have, subscribe to me on YouTube here, and you can also follow me on Twitter at @Daylac for updates on more casts that will be going out, and also to catch them when they are uploaded. And with that, I will leave you all to it. Have a good evening, and see you next